Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking some hard-hitting cybersecurity data and looking at the hidden dangers literally lurking in your inbox right now. And more importantly, we'll see how to definitively stop them in their tracks. Look, if you use email for your business, and let's face it, we absolutely all do, you really can't afford to ignore this. We're going to break down exactly how modern attackers are sneaking in and how you can actively lock them out. So let's kick things off with a pretty provocative question. Could your startup or even your enterprise survive if a single email triggered a catastrophic financial loss? I know, it kind of sounds like the plot of a hacker movie, but as you'll see in the data we're unpacking today, for a lot of organizations, the inbox is basically a ticking time bomb just waiting for one wrong click. Take this number, for example. $2 million. That is exactly the amount of wire fraud attempted on one Indian enterprise in a single business email compromise attack. It's wild, right? It really sets a massive, high-stakes tone for our analysis. $2 million on the line, all because a fraudster successfully impersonated a CFO in an email. This isn't science fiction, folks. It's happening right now. Section 1, the problem. Let's look at today's email threat landscape to categorize the specific villains we're actually dealing with here. To quote our source directly, email is the lifeline of modern business communication, but it is also the most targeted entry point for cyber attacks. Attackers absolutely know this. They consistently exploit the trust we place in our inboxes, the sheer speed at which we're operating every day, and, just basic human error. And what's really fascinating is the sheer variety of threats targeting that entry point. I mean, we aren't just talking about your standard obvious spam anymore. We're looking at highly deceptive phishing attacks, business email compromise, or BEC, where they actually impersonate your executives. There's hidden malware tucked into totally normal-looking PDFs, attackers spoofing sender identities, and honestly, it's not always malicious outsiders. Sometimes the threat is internal data leakage, where sensitive info just gets accidentally emailed to the wrong person, leading to massive compliance failures. Moving on to Section 2. Real-world cyber disasters and the cost of inaction. Seeing these real-world attacks side by side reveals a terrifying breadth. Look at the variance. We've got everything from a fintech startup to a healthcare provider, all the way to a massive enterprise. The specific threats totally change. Phishing, unencrypted data, spoofing, but the financial impact is consistently devastating. We're talking millions in potential losses and fines. Literally no industry is immune to this. Take that fintech startup as an example. The attackers didn't use some crazy, highly sophisticated zero-day exploit. Nope. Instead, it was just a mundane fake bank verification email that tricked the employees. It seemed completely routine, but that one simple human error led to 12 compromised internal accounts and a near $250,000 heist attempt. Or consider the staggering $1.2 million HIPAA fine that the healthcare provider got slapped with. The so what here is absolutely crucial. This wasn't even an external hack. This massive penalty happened simply because an employee emailed patient records without encryption. The cost of inaction on internal compliance can be just as crippling as a targeted attack. Okay, Section 3, the solution. This is where we shift focus to exactly how Rasta Infotech swoops in and actively blocks these threats. Notice the stark contrast between a vulnerable system and a secured one. In a normal state, you've got a naked, vulnerable inbox, records flying around unencrypted, users blindly trusting sender names, exposed data, the whole shebang. But Rasta completely transforms this into an armored vault. They enforce TLS, or Transport Layer Security Encryption, so data literally cannot be intercepted. Plus, they implement strict data loss prevention policies, which directly solves that compliance nightmare we just saw in the healthcare example. Now, to stop the phishing and spoofing we talked about earlier, Rasta implements some foundational authentication protocols. You've probably heard this alphabet soup: DMARC, DKIM, and SPF. You can think of these as a highly strict digital bouncer. They verify the exact identity of the sender. So if an email says it's from your bank, it actually is. Implementing this specific suite successfully reduced that fintech startup's phishing click rate by a massive 78%. But you might be wondering, what about human error, like that CFO impersonator who tried to steal $2 million? Well, Rasta deploys a zero-trust defense. This literally means trusting nothing by default. They use multi-factor authentication, strict internal approval workflows, and AI-driven anomaly detection. In fact, for that Indian enterprise, it was this exact AI monitoring that flagged the weird behavior and blocked the transaction at the absolute last second. Moving to Section 4, the multi-layered defense strategy. Let's zoom out a bit to review the overarching approach Rasta applies here. The days of just relying on a simple spam filter are totally over. Today, you absolutely need a multi-layered defense. That means ongoing employee awareness training to catch human error at the source. It requires strict encryption and DLP to safeguard the data itself. You need proactive compliance readiness. And of course, AI-driven monitoring that spots behavioral anomalies way faster than any human ever could. Now, this kind of comprehensive defense doesn't just happen by accident. Our source notes that Rasta Infotech brings over 2 decades of proven expertise to the table. They specialize in combining these highly technical, behind-the-scenes safeguards with tailored solutions for fintech, health tech, SaaS vendors, and large-scale enterprises.
Their implementation approach is honestly pretty brilliant. They systematically move through 4 key steps. Step 1, a tailored email security audit to find your exact weak points. Step 2, implementing compliance-ready solutions for strict frameworks like GDPR, HIPAA, RBI, or a SOC 2. Step 3 is running dedicated employee training programs. And fascinatingly, Step 4 includes executing SEO-friendly content strategies. So they're actually blending technical security with SEO-optimized knowledge sharing, making sure your business is secure and highly reputable online.
All right, our final section, Section 5, securing your digital future. As the source brilliantly concludes, email security is not just about technology. It's about trust, compliance, and resilience. These case studies we've unpacked today prove that proactive email security does way more than just block bad actors. It literally saves millions of dollars, passes strict regulatory audits, and fiercely protects your company's hard-earned reputation. It's really all about maintaining trust in a pretty hostile digital age. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder about your own business today. If your email is truly your company's lifeline, are you actually protecting it with a multi-layered defense that actively blocks threats? Or are you just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and definitely stay secure out there.